Hello friends, and welcome back to r/Entitledparents, where Entitled Mom wants me to rewrite her son's first ever LARP character because she thinks he deserves better. Hello again. So I have a few more stories from my time as an active LARPer, but I feel this one is perfect for EP. So let me give you a little background on how a pay-to-attend single event LARP works. After we fill the spaces available, usually first come, first serve through payment of a deposit, the ref team comes together and starts working on characters. We get the players to fill in a survey for us about their character preferences, anything we need to avoid, any personality traits they'd like to have, gender, whether they have an in-game relationship, etc. Some people give us lots of detail. Others are just happy to tell us what we should avoid. Now, usually we are familiar with a lot of the players participating, so we have an idea of what they play well, what they best suit, etc. Like, you don't shove an incredibly shy person into a big commanding leadership role unless they specifically request it. Down the line, the players receive a good 6 to 8 character backstory written by a member of the ref team. I can't tell you how awesome it is to have someone come up to you on release day and be like, "Holy crap, dude, I love my character." Anyway, the LARP in question for this story was this really cool, really tense weekend event focused around a group of freedom fighters in an unspecified Civil War type scenario. As the group planned a big attack, they had to deal with drama within the group as well as a slowly intensifying assault from an unknown, unseen, supernatural enemy. To the ref team's surprise, one of the players who signed up was a freshman we shall call Entitled Moneybags Undergrad, or EMU. This event took place in the second semester, so EMU had been in the college role-playing society, where 90% of our players came from for a semester. He had never shown any interest in the LARP events run by the society, but he had been fairly active in the tabletop side of things. Anyway, EMU signs up in person, as most of the refs attending society meetings, and we were like, okay, cool, someone new. He didn't put much on his character survey, like barely anything if we're being honest, and his own specific request was that he have a role where he had a lot to do. As I was the only writer who vaguely knew him, he played in one of the tabletop campaigns I was running for the society. I was assigned EMU as one of my characters to write. In short, EMU's character was the radio operator. It was a decently important role, and the radio started off as broken at the start of the event, meaning he would have to spend some time fixing it. I also knew from my tabletop game and from speaking the other DMs of the other games he was in that he had a tendency to be immature and mess around a little bit. And besides, this was his first LARP ever by his own account, so we didn't want to thrust him into anything too major. So in the end, I make this really cool character. He's a little cocky, a bit of a joker, but he respects the chain of command. I figured this would allow him to play the slightly immature character he seemed to prefer playing in tabletop games without it ruining the experience of others. Besides, everything we were using as inspiration, Alien, Predator, Assault on Precinct 13, etc., had that jokey, cocky character. It was just fitting for the genre of the game. So release day, about 2 months before the game, comes around, and the players I had been assigned, 4 of the 16, loved their characters. Even EMU seemed happy enough, but that night I get home from my bartending job to find an email. Dear Mr. OP, I am led to believe that you were the one to speak to about this acting event my son is involved in. I would like to know as to why my son has been relegated to some superfluous minor role when he says he asked for the lead. Please rectify this immediately or we shall be demanding a refund. Mrs. Emu's mother. In all my years of running games, I had never received anything like this. Sure, people had asked for minor tweaks to their character, usually because they felt they would struggle to tackle the role given to them, or they just wanted some small details changed. OP, I just wanted to butt in here and ask why you didn't just give this boy the main role. I've read enough Entitled Parent stories to know that's not what you did. Hi there, preemptive comment section resident. I'm not sure how you got in here, but let me address your question while I have you. There are 2 main reasons why this story will not see EMU take on a starring role in the LARP. Firstly, the leader of the Freedom Fighters was being played by a plant, someone we had placed in the player party without the knowledge of the other players, basically a deep cover NPC. This was because they were going to be the first to die to the mysterious entity attack the Freedom Fighters, just to add a little more chaos. Secondly, EMU was a complete unknown. No one had seen him LARP, and by his own admission, he had never done this before. We tended to reserve leadership roles to known LARPers, just so the role wouldn't be undermined. It sucks, I know, but we have to consider the enjoyment level of 16 players, and most of the time try to avoid a veteran player usurping the leadership tropes from an inexperienced player. Anywho, I reached out to Emu and asked if we could meet up for coffee that weekend to talk this over. He says okay, and a few days later I meet him on campus. However, the dude shows up with his effing mom. Turns out she's visiting for the weekend and is at this meeting to make sure I don't bully her kid or whatever. Me. Hi, Emu. So I'll get right to it. I just wanted to sit down with you and see what we can do to make your character better for you. I was sorry to hear that you didn't enjoy what I had written for you. Emu. No, it's just, I don't know, it just seemed a little boring. Emu's mom. My son is such a talented actor. He deserves the lead. Me. Just straight up ignoring the mom. What was boring about it? Emu. I don't know. I just don't want to be sat by a radio all game while everybody else does cool stuff. Me. Completely understanding where he's coming from because I felt that way in my first LARPs as a player. Well, honestly, that's just who you are at the start of the game. Remember, this thing runs Friday to Sunday, so it isn't just going to stick to the pitch we gave you. And besides, radio operator is going to be a really vital role in the scenario of the game. I get how you feel. I haven't loved some of the characters I've been given, but the thing you have to do is just play the role, get involved. You're only going to be sat by a radio all game if you choose to sit by a radio all game. Don't worry, there are going to be things for you to do in that role, and you will 100% be able to interact with the main story and all that. Emu. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I was being a little short-sighted. Emu's mom. Don't apologize to this bully baby. You, to me, will not sweet-talk your way into keeping my son in this awful role. Emu. Mom, it's fine. Emu's mom. No, I paid a lot of money for you to do this, and I will get my money's worth. I start to explain about how we don't want to overwhelm her son in his first ever LARP, how he didn't give us a lot of stuff to work with, and how since everyone's paying the same, there is no inherent advantage to any one character. Of course, she cuts me off. Emu's mom. I don't want to hear it. Make my son the star, or we will be demanding a refund. Me. 1. I won't, and 2. It's non-refundable, and your son knew that when he signed up. Emu's mom. Then I'll sue. Emu. Mom, please. Emu's mom. No, Emu, we're going. I'll see you in court, young man. Me. I look forward to hearing from your lawyers. Emu's mom drags her son out of the coffee shop, screeching about how she's going to sue, yada yada yada. At the next society meeting, Emu, or rather reformed entitled Moneybags undergrad after I took the time to explain why he wasn't just going to be made a lead character in his first ever LARP, apologized for his mom and said that she probably wasn't going to sue. Apparently she just says that a lot because it gets her free stuff now and then. I didn't get sued, and he went on to really enjoy the game. As I had said, the radio operator was a pretty vital role, and he even got to die a big hero's death as he sealed himself in a room with a traitor and some of the monsters that had been attacking the party. Entitled mom brings her 4 kids to an adult-only wedding. I attended an adult-only wedding for a coworker a few days ago. The actual ceremony was in a very small church, so it was mostly family and close friends, but the reception was for roughly 250 people. The reception was at a very elegant hotel ballroom, not child-friendly in any way. Crystal stemware, expensive linens on the table, etc. About a half hour into the reception, a commotion started that made everyone stare. Entitled mom is arguing with the wedding planner. Loudly. Me being the nosy broad that I am, inched closer to hear. Turns out Entitled mom brought her 4 young children to the reception, even though the invitations clearly stated adults only. The EM insisted that her kids, I'm guessing at ages, but the oldest one looked 8-ish, the youngest under a year old, were super well behaved, so it was fine. Now keep in mind this was around 7:30 p.m. The wedding planner was having none of it. She insisted that children were not allowed and she had to leave. In a last-ditch effort to get admitted, Entitled mom shouted at the bride. The bride went over and listened to her for a moment, then said in a very syrupy sweet voice, "Of course you can come in, EM, but your children cannot." She turned on her heel and went back to her new husband. EM flipped a nut, yelled about how she was invited, couldn't find a babysitter, etc. 3 of the groomsmen escorted her and her kids to the door. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to leave a comment, like, and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and see you soon.